wants her daily bread. Danny just wants to stay well fed. No one here seems to have a clue. There ought to be someone I can sue. But there's not, and everyone's a waste when you got different tastes. And I'm so annoyed. All this place is void. It's good for nothing town. Just ain't no way out. It seems I just can't get away again today. Well, I've never been an optimist. It's hard to be with luck like this, and that way of thought will just get me caught in a long line of fishing out false hope, and that line is drawn on a slippery slope among other things. And I know that no good can come of these things. Ain't got no love, ain't got no love, ain't got no love. I just ain't got no love. No love. No love. No love. No love. No love. Met this girl, I tell you, she'll make you fall. Well, you should see her diamond eyes, I bet you she's seen it all. She told me she would meet me at the restaurant by Joe's drugstore. Here I've waited, never was seated, sucking dinner mints by the bar. I looked for a sign, but there was nothing. I should have seen this coming from her, 'cause bullshit's got such a recognizable scent. The only solace to be had is this dinner mint. I read it on the front page as the diner is about to close. Another crime, another bomb, another sinner, and the government blows. I used the napkin to wipe away what happened. Oh, but the stain stays easier than that. And I wonder, could I go undercover as someone who knows where it's at? I looked for a sign, but there was nothing. How can I catch the truth when it's running away? And they get the ratings operating for a profit, never stopping. Mind corruption, mass consumption, bullshit club. Don't give out a whole lot of hints. The only truth that I can find is these dinner mints. Well, my friend decided to drop by just to say hello. He made a chicken pot pie on my stove. The way it tasted, I didn't want to waste it, but that's not really why he came. Wanted to tell me he's unhealthy, unemployed, and feeling lame. He looked for a sign, but there was nothing. He thought I might have something to help, 'cause where he lodged, he always dodged the good for nothing, always fussing, no relating, only hating landlord man.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Collegiate iRacing, where tonight we're bringing round 5 of the Flexware College Cup Series. That's right, folks, we have a brand new title sponsor. We're thankful to Flexware for being the first ever title sponsor of the College Cup Series, and we look forward to a long partnership with them. And it's a tonight of firsts indeed, as we will go road racing for the first time this season and for the first time in CIL history. We are visiting the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. It's the Switch Up 200 kilometers presented by the Familiar Strange. And switching it up is indeed exactly what we're doing. The Charlotte Roval is one of the trickiest road courses on the NASCAR circuit. The mashup of the banked corners and the relatively flat infield course is sure to test the very limits of our drivers' abilities tonight. 16 turns on this course, 9 to the left, 6 to the right, and 4 sectors on this 2.28 mile, 3.66 kilometer circuit, where we'll be expecting qualifying times somewhere in the 1 minute and 20 second range. 3 major overtaking opportunities present themselves for our drivers to capitalize on. The left-handed heartburn turn in turn 1, the backstretch chicane through turns 10 through 13, and the front stretch chicane to the finish up the lap. For the second week in a row, this is a brand new challenge awaiting our College Cup Series drivers tonight. And we're going to take you flag to flag as we're your commentators for tonight. Zach Lindler alongside Alex Gagnon back in the booth. And Alex, this is going to be an extremely fun race to watch.
Yeah, it really should be. This should be an absolute blast. The Roval is such a unique challenge that this is the first time in 10 seasons of CIL history that we're coming to the Roval. It's going to be interesting to see how our drivers handle this one here tonight. You know, when you come to a track like this, you highlighted just how many different skill sets you need to succeed here. And it's going to take a very special driver to pick up the victory here tonight. We've had 3 different winners so far this season. Do we get a 4th here tonight? It's a different challenge compared to what we normally see.
Yeah, it's a different challenge indeed. It's a completely different style of racing than what we would expect at our intermediates, super speedways, and short tracks. These cars are extremely hard to drive on road courses. They have so much horsepower, so little downforce, and they really don't like to turn. They're boats on road courses. So it takes a special kind of driver to really navigate this course. As you see there on your screen, a little bit about these cars. 3,400 pounds and 670 horsepower with these cars tonight, and some giant Goodyear tires as well that these drivers are going to be able to use to put the power down onto the ground. And based off of what I've been hearing from some driver practice this week and even tonight, as drivers have put in their last second practice tonight and this afternoon, that this car is a handful.
Yeah, it really can be. This is a car that when you're in first or second gear, you put a little bit of too much throttle in it. The car just wants to immediately have the back end shoot out in front of the front. And there'll be a lot of low speed corners here in this car where you'll see exactly that situation. And with that, you're going to have a lot of time where as someone is going to go, they're just going to get a little too anxious to try and make that pass. They'll tap that throttle a little too much. And before you know it, they're going to be off into the grass.
Well, as of right now, Alex, as you mentioned, we have 3 different winners, 3 different drivers locked into the playoffs in just 6 races time, including tonight. Defending alumni champ, Jake Cummings from Wingate University. Defending series champ, Matthew Morton from Ohio State. And brand new to the CIL, Daniel Nanny from Ball State, who just picked up his first career win last week after a thrilling race at Pocono. One of these is not like the other, but Daniel Nanny has been on fire this season. And I think he's going to have at least a couple more wins in his book until we get to the playoffs and even through the rest of the season. And I think he's got a legitimate challenge at Matthew Morton and that title. But we have a lot of racing left to do and a completely different style of racing tonight. Are we going to see one of those drivers repeat and further their case for the title? Or are we going to see some of our road course ringers like Muhammad Alif and maybe even Clint Halterman take the win?
Yeah, that was one of the first 2 thoughts I had. Was we have several drivers in this field who we know excel at these road courses. Muhammad Alif definitely one of them there for Ball State. We know his dominance on the Formula C side. We know that he can run well at the road courses here in these heavy stock cars as well, coming up just short of Watkins Glen last season. And speaking of Watkins Glen for a second, Clint Halterman, who's picked up a win there as well, as has Matthew Morton in the recent years. So a couple of the names you touched on there, either people who have won this season or people who have definitely highlighted this race on their calendar as ones to watch out for, because we'll probably see some faces we don't typically see in that top 5, top 10 range running up front here tonight. Those who have spent their time and done their due diligence on the road courses, they're the ones who are going to succeed tonight.
Well, before we get started with the green flag action, we're going to take a quick ride with, I believe, Zach DeWale from St. Clair College to watch his qualifying lap attempt. And this is going to be a really interesting driver's eye view. We're going to start these qualifying laps at the Roval. So you can see here this front stretch chicane getting ready to start the lap. It's very much... you have to nail it absolutely perfectly all the way up on the curbs, into second gear, down the front stretch, just barely catch third, back down into second through Heartburn turn 1, just catching a little bit of the curb wash all the way out. Use this on camber bank turn 2 to your advantage. And this is probably one of the hardest sectors in all of the NASCAR calendar. This is a very flat but slightly on camber but extremely slippery infield section through turns 3 and 4 up into turn 5. It's a driver's flat. You want to take that flat, but you just can't. Not enough downforce. Back down into second. Up the crest, down through the compression to get that car rotated. Another crest right when you want to get on throttle, just before coming back out onto the NASCAR circuit. Through turns 1 and 2. All the way up through the gears, engine roaring as loud as possible, getting all the horsepower you can down to the track, onto the backstretch, into the heavy braking zone, braking at about the 3.5 mark, through the backstretch chicane, hopping those curbs, getting that car rotated and pointed as quickly as you can back on the power, up through the gears, through NASCAR turns 3 and 4, and that's going to dump you very, very quickly into an extremely tricky braking zone, into that front stretch chicane that we talked about. Look at that car already wanting to slip out from underneath the wheel, but he is doing a phenomenal job of controlling it. And that is a single lap at the Charlotte Roval, and we've got over 50 of them to complete tonight.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, you can run this track perfectly once or twice. There's no doubt about it. You might even be able to run it perfectly 10 times. Can you nail it, though? 50 straight laps, that's going to be the question. Historically, in the CIL, these road courses have gone flag to flag without a caution. So, you know, there's not going to be a break. You just got to keep pushing. You got to make sure you're hitting your marks. And if you miss them, you best believe the person behind you is going to come and try and capitalize on that. Good field here tonight, and they're certainly roaring and ready to go in what should be, I think it's going to be an entertaining race, but I also think we're going to see a lot of cars fighting conditions on track that they're not going to be happy with. But that is the unique part about this calendar, and the unique part about this track is, you know, even if you're not necessarily a huge fan of these road courses, it's on the calendar for a reason, because there are some drivers who this is where they're going to specialize, this is where they're going to excel. And this could be an opportunity for a bit of a surprise winner here tonight, potentially.
Yeah, just a couple of differences from our typical format. Like you said, there is a very, very good chance that this race goes completely green flag to flag. It's a very quick race, but it's also extremely strenuous on our drivers because they have a lot more braking points to worry about. In the event that we do have an incident, just like on our roadside, we're going to see local yellows only unless we see a giant track blocking wreck, like we've seen before in the IRL NASCAR Cup Series. Then race control reserves the right to throw a full course yellow where the cars will re-rack and we'll do it all again. Also, if in the event that an incident is caused, instead of getting sent to the tail end of the longest line at the restart, since there's probably not going to be any restarts, you're instead going to have to make a long drive through pit road at pit road speed to serve that time penalty. So you definitely want to be careful about the bumper of the driver in front of you, not send them flying, because that's going to spell disaster for your race, especially at this track where it is so hard to pass.
Yeah, it really is. There's only a couple of really good opportunities to make that pass on track, and usually it involves being willing to outbreak your opponent into one of those two chicanes. We'll probably see a lot of action there tonight, especially coming off of NASCAR Oval Turn 2 into that backstretch chicane. That's where I think we're going to see the most opportunities to make moves done, but it's one of those tracks where it's a lot easier to lose positions than it is to gain it, in my opinion.
Very much so, and it's very easy to get in someone's head as well. I think we're going to see we might see some tempers flare tonight, a la Bristol, in some short track racing. So it's going to be a fun one. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And I do believe it's time to take a look at our opening grid for tonight's race here from the Roval. It is Ball State's R. Muhammad Alif on row 1 there. One of the names we mentioned in the top of the show here about ones to watch. He'll be rolling off alongside Matt Morton, who's got 2 victories already this season. Row 2, it's Jake Cummings, who's recently engaged. Congrats there, Jake, alongside Charles Wimbley there from Guilford College. Row 3, Clint Halterman and Zach DeWale. Row 4, it's Lucas Moody and Andrew Stagey, a couple of Ball State teammates. And in row 5, Edwin Onofre and Jason Wallet.
Looking at row 6, it's Kelton Quick from Ball State University starting next to Ryan Whitlock from Alabama Huntsville. Row 7, Andrew Burrell from Clemson University and Matthew Nordberg from NC State. Row number 8, Alex Finnerty to the inside of Brandon Schulenberger. Row 9, Ricky Paz from Valpo, Andrew Williams from Clemson. And in row 10, it's Austin DeLong from the Penn College of Technology and Timothy Williams from Drexel University. Row 11, Jake Hall from Clemson, Michael Seidor from PCT. Row 12, Ben Neller and Hunter Haddisty. Row 13, Logan Smith from Auburn and Nick Stockner. Ethan Decatur, Alan Hong, and Mark Turek and Dylan Godinez as the green flag is out. We are officially Roval racing for the first time in the CIL College Cup Series. In trouble already for, I believe, one of the St. Clair drivers as they go around in the backstretch chicane as we're going to wrap up lap number 1 here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The switch up 200 kilometers presented by the Familiar Strange, who are celebrating the release of their self-titled debut album, now streaming wherever you can find your music. And R. Muhammad Alif, with a perfect start to that race, jumped right out in front of Matt Morton and has kept him in his rearview mirror since then.
Yeah, he's kept him in the rearview mirror, and these two are already starting to pull away from the rest of the field. Jake Cummings, who rolled off third, holding on to that third place position right now. He's almost 2 seconds back, though, after this opening lap, so a lot of race to go, but the top 2 cars in qualifying might be the top 2 cars to beat here today, as they have stretched out this lead big time over the rest of the field. Right now, R. Muhammad Alif maintaining a decent gap here, about 3/10 over Matt Morton here as they make their way through NASCAR Oval turns 1 and 2 on toward the backstretch. Right now, Matt Morton just getting settled in, and R. Muhammad Alif, all that clean track in front of him, letting him hit his marks and starting to get into a rhythm here.
About 150 miles an hour in that chicane, down to about just over 50. So a heavy braking zone. I believe one of the heaviest on the circuit. But we are going to take a look at the incident. That was Zach DeWale from St. Clair College, who went around going into the backstretch chicane. We talked about that heavy braking zone. Did he maybe have some help from the 13 behind? I think he did. That's Lucas Moody making contact there, sending the 519 back around, and he's going to get relegated to the back of the grid. Actually, I believe that was Logan Smith from Auburn University on the right-hand side of the screen, missing the chicane as well. He's going to have to come to a complete stop by the time he re-enters the track in order to avoid that slowdown penalty.
Yeah, and this is already the early going, and we're seeing a couple of these cars have some issues early on. A couple of cars that were running up in that top group there. Zach DeWale was qualified in the top 6, but some early contact there with the 13 machine has relegated them much farther down the table. And that's just the way it's going to go here. I think tonight at the Roval, it's going to be easier said than done as far as making it to the end of this race in one piece, because not only do you have to contend with the track, as you see both of those guys get a whole lot of curb going into the chicane there, but you also have to contend with the other cars around you. And a lot of these guys, they do some road course racing, but they're much more specialized on the oval side. So it's certainly an interesting challenge to see who's going to try and do a little earlier braking into the corner before who's going to be more aggressive, as we see both of those cars make their way off of the front stretch chicane to start lap 4 here. These two cars really have it dialed in right now. They're 5 seconds clear of Charles Wembley back there in third. Right now, Muhammad Ali is in control, but his teammate there in Lucas Moody, drive-through penalty, I believe, for taking out the 519 machine.
Yep, race control has assessed the number 13 driver a drive-through penalty for incident responsibility with that collision with Zach DeWale. But I was going to say before the race, we didn't really have time, but I wanted to make some picks, and my pick for tonight's race was going to be that 077 machine of Clint Halterman. Like you said, had that success at Watkins Glen from a couple seasons ago, fended off his teammate and series ringer Jared Kaler for that win. I think he's got what it takes to get it done tonight, but he's got Charles Wembley, Matthew Borton, and Muhammad Ali ahead of him.
Yeah, and right now you see we're on board here with the 077 of Halterman, currently running in the 4th position, trying to track down the back bumper of Charles Wembley for 3rd. That number 37 from Guilford College right now, making that thing as wide as he can, but Halterman might be looking to the inside here, going to create his own lane under the 37 there. Wembley did not give him a whole lot of room, but Halterman just forced it down in there. He's going to get a nose ahead going into the front stretch chicane, but he's not in the right lane to capitalize there. Now we'll be back on the inside for that final corner and takes away that 3rd position. Halterman moves up to 3rd after some, dare I say, slightly aggressive driving from the 077. Opportunistic for sure, but definitely creating his own lane out there to get around the 37.
And with this track being so hard to pass at, aggressive racing really does kind of get rewarded. You saw Halterman get the run. He had a much better exit coming out of the backstretch chicane. He made that lane on the bottom, like you said. And Charles Wembley, nice enough, and with the racecraft and with the racecraft and the knowledge, gave him the space. He knows that this is a long race ahead of him. As actually Wembley has fallen back quite a bit. I wonder if he maybe had a moment through the infield.
Yeah, he's already now back into 8th place. He was running 3rd just a moment ago. You see him on board trying to hold off the 2 of Kelton Quick right now in this battle for 8th place, but Wallet, Stagey, Onofre, Whitlock, they all went on by here over the past half a lap. Kelton Quick trying to do the same here. So the 37 might be fighting something there. To your point, maybe had a moment through the infield. We'll have to see if we can go back and take a closer look. But looking at this top group right now, the biggest movers honestly have been the 37 going backwards. But you also get the 199 there of Edwin Onofre. He's gone up from row 5 to start as the 37 almost loses it off the final corner. He's going to collect it just in time, but he'll lose out to Kelton Quick. Luckily for Wembley, there is nothing else to lose there, as the gap back to Finnerty was pretty big. But, boy, the 37's having a tough time right now.
Let's see if we can see what happened to that 37 car through the infield exactly a lap ago. I believe our production crew has found it. Oh, he caught a piece of the wall.
Yeah, certainly did. There was
maybe we can find it, but that was coming out of turn 4 on, I guess you could call it the backstretch of the Or actually, no, that was
he just
turn 5.
Yeah, he just carried a little too much speed into the corner, couldn't get the car to actually grip the track, and he was in the wrong place at the wrong time as everyone went right on by. He didn't ding the car up all that much, but he had a lot of traffic right behind him that all capitalized on that miscue.
Yeah, these next-gen cars with the fiberglass composite bodies, they play really nice with the tire barriers all over the track, so you can thump a tire barrier pretty good and your car will be relatively okay, but Charles Wembley really struggling with that car right now.
Yeah, he certainly is, and if he has any more struggles, he's certainly in danger of losing some more positions. His 11th and through about 15th are right on his back bumper. Taking a look at the battle for 12th right now, Brandon Schulenberger hounding the back bumper of Andrew Williams here from Clemson as they make their way down through turn 1 and 2. Into 3 is, it looked like Finnerty was about to really launch it in there, but it looked like just the angle that we were looking at. But right now, Schulenberger knocking on the door there of Williams for 11th.
Yeah, Williams is somebody who I know has put in a lot of practice. Not the best at these road courses. In fact, has quite a disdain for them. Not a fan, but he's put in a lot of practice, and I know he's going to be really excited if he gets a good result here today.
Yeah, he certainly would be. Currently running pretty well. Scored there in the 12th position, chasing down Williams. Both of those guys, honestly, looking for a solid finish here. Both Williams and Schulenberger is now, all three of those guys were there for a second. Finnerty got a really good launch out of the chicane, though. Williams, not so much. It let the 7 close right back into his back bumper as they make their way through 3 and 4. And as they make their way to the front stretch chicane, will Schulenberger go to make the move?
Doesn't quite make the move work there. I think he thought about it coming out of NASCAR turn 4. That's a very popular passing spot into that front stretch chicane. It's very, very tight side by side. Not quite sure if you can get it to work in these cup cars, but you can certainly think about outbraking the guy to the outside of you.
Yeah, it's certainly tricky. There's so few easy opportunities to pass here at the Roval. It's a lot of where you try and make your own luck, like we saw with Halterman getting around the 37 a few laps ago. So interested to see if Schulenberger is going to try and force the issue if he gets another run, or if he's just content to try to hang out behind the 123 and see if he's going to make a mistake. Because those are really the two ways you pass here. Either you make your own luck or you wait for the guy in front of you to have an issue.
I just want to draw attention to the ticker column at the left side of the screen. Muhammad Alif still in the lead, 2.5 over Matthew Morton, and then it's 12 seconds back to third place Clint Halterman, Andrew Stagey in fourth, 6 seconds behind him. So the front of the field, these two leaders having a pretty decent battle right now, still within striking distance of each other, but completely unmatched by the rest of the field. As what a beautiful braking job from Brandon Schulenberger to get around the 23 of Drew Williams. That is going to launch Schulenberger into the 11th position, where he now has a windshield full of Alex Finnerty to try and break into the top 10.
Yeah, that was a beautiful pass there from the 7. Gets right around Williams going into the front stretch chicane. Now he's got the opportunity to try and break into the top 10 here, but before he does that, he might have to try and hold on to 11th. Williams took a look there going through that double right-hander. Now as they make their way toward turn 5, going to lose out a little bit of time. Right now, though, Schulenberger in control, but Williams had a really good run on the opening part of that lap. He's fallen back a little bit here. Curious to see how he gets out of this corner back onto the NASCAR oval. See if he can get a run into the backstretch, but it looks like he's really starting to fall back here. Nearly 7/10 between the two cars.
Looking a little bit further back, I believe that is Austin DeLong, Ricky Paz, and Matthew Nordberg having a pretty good battle at the moment. Is a big lockup right there from the Valpo 19 car of Paz. That's going to be a big mistake that's going to haunt him for a couple of laps. He's now put a ton of heat into those tires, and that car is not going to be very happy with him.
No, certainly not, and especially because with the way this race has been going so far, you can bring it down pit road. You can get new tires on it if you really start flat spotting them after a while, but, you're going to lose a lot of time on track. You may not lose a lap, but but just the sheer amount of time that you'll lose on track if this stays green the whole way, it's going to be nearly impossible to make that time back up. So it's a lot about what you can save in the early going here. Tire management really critical at a track like this, not only for these corners like you're seeing here with Ricky Paz and Austin DeLong as they go through, but also once you start hitting the banking, trying to get back into those chicanes, if you don't have tires left on that car, you're just going to start sliding through it and not only become a danger to yourself, but also the cars around you, and it also can really end your race in a hurry.
And it's a little bit backwards from what you'd think, that these high-speed corners are actually the ones that do the most damage to the tires, these high-speed banked corners. When you're in the infield, your tires are pretty much fine. They're not getting used very much, but as soon as you come back onto the NASCAR circuit and really put the power down to get through these banked corners, that's where a lot of your tire wear is going to come from. So you've got to be especially mindful of how you're utilizing your tires and using up that resource. Tires are not the limiting factor at this track at all. In fact, the tires, you probably could get all the way to the end on a single set. However, it is the fuel, and our fuel is going to last just short of 40 laps in this track. As now here's Matt Nordberg with a run on Drew Williams, looking to the inside into turn one. Williams got a piece of the wall as they came out onto the front stretch, and Nordberg is going to have that pass completed. Williams may be in a bit of trouble right now as he's lost a couple positions in the last about 3 laps or so.
Yeah, and he's in danger of losing a couple more with that Austin DeLong Ricky Paz battle that we were watching just a moment ago. They're settling in right behind the 123 as well, so he could find himself as far down as like the end of the top 15 here if he's not careful. Nice pass there by Matt Nordberg on the front stretch into turn one to take away that position and move up to 12th. Looked like Schulenberger had also gotten around Alex Finnerty for the 10th position a moment ago. So a lot of shuffling right now between 10th and 15th. Right now, though, that 123 machine seems to be on the losing end of it.
All the way up through the gears, down the backstretch, hard braking point into the backstretch chicane. You want to use a lot of curb there. Those turtles are very nice to get the car propped up and rotated. In fact, you'll see a lot of cars two-wheeling it through the 2 chicanes on this track. But too much curb and you can accidentally send the car a little too free, as we saw Williams do coming out of the chicane that time. You saw the back end step out from him. Great job saving that, because that's not a very easy task to accomplish in these massive, high horsepower, heavy cup cars.
No, it's certainly not, but right now they're doing a really good job of trying to get this thing going here. Currently lap 12, about a fourth of the way through this race right now. And looking up front, our Muhammad Alif, 1.4 seconds clear of second place Matt Morton. Those 2 cars qualified 1 and 2 and have remained that way since the drop of the green flag here tonight. You can see the gap between the 2 cars right now, about 8 car lengths between the 2. As Alif just continues his dominance here on the road side of things. Just missed out on a victory last year on the one road course in the regular season that would have locked him into the College Cup Series playoffs. Now looking to bounce back and, per se, avenge that second place finish with a win here tonight. You can see him on board there in the Ball State Esports facility. Right now, running a pretty line and been rewarded for it by leading every lap of this race to this point.
Watch his eyes. I always like watching Alif's eyes whenever we get an onboard camera of him. First of all, this man is an alien. He does not blink at all. Second of all, it's interesting to see where he looks. Whenever he comes out of a corner, the first thing he does is check the relative box. How far is the driver behind? Get a little further on down the straightaway, check the relatives box again. Are you gaining time? Are you losing time? And then look as he's apex chasing here he's looking at the apex, looking exactly where he's got to point the car, looking at the wall right there on the exit of the chicane, making sure he gets as close as he can without hitting it. Checking the relatives once again as he comes into the braking point for the front stretch chicane. Identify your braking point, hit the brakes, hit the apexes. 2 really, really awkward corners right there for these cup cars. But the focus and determination in his eyes, that is a skilled driver right there behind the wheel of that number 12 car.
It certainly is. And, you could see not only with how active his eyes were on track at any given point in time, but also how active the hands were going through those corners. It's not just a steady, oh, we're going to hold the wheel and then bring it back. He's actively sawing the wheel through those corners, trying to give the car the best opportunity it can to settle down and get through as fast as possible. So a lot of things happening at once, and looks like there's some trouble a little farther back in the field. I think the 121 might have had some troubles there. Andrew Burl, taking a look down on the bottom side of your screen here.
Yeah, he's got some... Yep, and just got on the throttle a little too hard coming out of the front stretch chicane, and that looped the car all the way around, electing to do some landscaping, driving back through the infield grass to merge onto the front stretch, avoiding that unsafe pit entry penalty that iRacing gives if he were to have gone onto pit road there. So smart thinking from Burl.
Yeah, definitely good job to collect it and make sure he didn't get penalized for it, but certainly not how he would have drawn up getting through that corner. And that's something we talked about a little while ago before this race got going, was with the amount of power in these cars, sometimes it's really easy just to get a little trigger happy on the throttle on those low speed corners. You just hit it a little too hard and the back end spins out on you, and that's what we saw there with Burl. So he'll collect it, and he's currently scored the last car on the lead lap right now in 23rd. But he's got a lot of work to do if he's going to try and stay on the lead lap here, because Muhammad Alif looks unstoppable out there with his pace at the moment, although Morton does seem to be closing in a little bit. But the real action right now on track is this battle here between Alex Finnerty and Drew Williams. This is the battle right here for the 12th position. That 321 in green is Finnerty. You've got Williams now looking to his right, making his way into the front stretch chicane. Going to roll right on by as he sent it in. Now Finnerty looking for a little over-under. They'll be side by side at the line, making their way back into turn one. How is this going to get settled into turn one? They'll stay side by side. Finnerty with the nose ahead. Hasn't cleared them yet, though, as they make their way around toward three.
And Williams bailed out right there. That car got really, really happy on him coming out of turn two. And now he's got Zach DeWale all over his bumper right now. So those two OWR teammates looking to try to work together against the hometown hero from UNC Charlotte, Alex Finnerty, once again at his home race tonight.
Yes, got to. The UNC Charlotte guys, I feel like, have a lot of opportunities for a home race here between Charlotte Motor Speedway or North Wilkesboro when we've gone to it. A couple of tracks in that North Carolina area, but I think a lot of them, especially for the UNC Charlotte folks, would indeed call Charlotte Motor Speedway their home and trying to put on a good show right now. Finnerty in 12th. His teammate there in Clint Halterman currently on the podium. He's running third, although he is not in the same zip code as the leaders. Finnerty right now trying to hold on to this 12th position over Williams and Zach DeWale, who's burst onto the scene here in 14th as well. Starting to get a little bit of a train behind the 321 here as they make their way down toward the front stretch. Will Williams try it again? He's getting maybe a little bit of contact between the two as they make their way in there. Finnerty will hold on to the position over Williams. Williams now on the defensive as DeWale takes a shot into turn one. Here goes the 519 to his inside, and that was textbook. DeWale rolls right on by Andrew Williams and takes away that 13th position. The 123 continues his march backwards down the timing table here.
Certainly a march indeed, but it's the wrong direction as we're working on lap 16 of 50 in tonight's Switch Up 200 presented by The Familiar Strange, who are celebrating the release of their self-titled debut album, now streaming wherever you can find your music online. As we're looking here at Edwin Onofre, looking at the back of Jason Wallet now, UNT on Drexel. This is a battle to get into the top five. Jason Wallet having a great night tonight for Drexel, running fifth at the moment. But he's got Edwin Onofre to worry about, as well as Andrew Stagey just in front of him. So this is a three-car battle inside the top 10. Basically nose to tail for these guys right now.
Yeah, Stagey's got a good gap over Wallet right now as far as being able to run the line that he wants to run. Wallet, though, does not have that level of luxury as Edwin Onofre less than a car length away right now. Now it will open up just a little bit. You see them making their way through turn three. Meanwhile, on that bottom screen, you're seeing there a little side-by-side action. That bottom screen is Muhammad Alif holding off Matt Morton, who's gotten to his back bumper. So the battle for the lead on that bottom screen there as they go around Andrew Burl. That top side is the battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th between Stagey, Wallet, and Onofre.
This is the first shot that Matt Morton has had at the lead all night. Let's see what he can do with it all the way to the back bumper of Alif, but Alif is going to get the much better run out of the front stretch chicane to put some more distance between him and Morton behind. But Matthew Morton has cut down about a second and a half lead in the last 5 or 6 laps or so. There is a lot of power underneath the seat of that Ohio State driver as he has made his way up here towards the front of the field. My guess is that he's more likely than not going to try and split this race in half pit stop wise, because an undercut or overcut won't help you a ton with the tire situation, but he's going to try and get around Alif before they come down to pit road to take their one service stop of the race.
Yeah, you'd have to believe so, though with how close they're running, you got to imagine that neither one's going to be too keen on trying an alternate strategy. You know, Alif knows he has the pace to run ahead of Morton right now, and Morton knows he's got the pace to get right up to his back bumper. They might try and stay step for step here, so neither one can try and get an advantage on pit road, although we are still a few laps away from that coming into contention here as we're running on lap 18 of this 50-lap race. It'll be interesting to see what they do. I'm more interested to see what Halterman does in third. He's on an island right now, 21 seconds behind the leaders and then 13 seconds ahead of the 4th, 5th, and 6th place cars. So he might try a bit of pit road strategy here. But we're looking here. This battle just continues on this high grouping here between Stagey, Wallet, and Onofre. All of them running nose to tail right now with that backstretch chicane.
Huge wiggle from Matt Morton coming out of turn 16. He lost about 0.4 of a second to Alif's bumper because of that mistake, but that's about the gap from Stagey to Onofre here at the top of the screen. As you can see, those 3 drivers nose to tail. Will Wallet try anything as the car in the middle? Looks like he's going to stay put for the time being. Wallet and Onofre content with how they're running, but Onofre with a little bit of a kiss of the wall right there down the front.
Whoa, contact for our leaders.
And Matthew Morton got to the back bumper of Alif. I think that was a message sent saying, "I'm here."
Yeah, well, it looked like Alif got checked up behind the 15 of Michael Sidor. Neither one of them had anywhere to go, and Morton said, well, I'm not going to break. I'm just going to go for it. Made contact there.
Wow.
In Oval 1 and 2. And now side by side for the lead. Here we go in the NASCAR Ovals 3 and 4. You got Alif on the bottom. Morton up high. They're going to try and get this settled into the chicane here. Who's going to be more aggressive going into the corner? Side by side through that corner, more contact between the two. Alif will hold on to the lead for now as they make their way on the lap 20. Matt Morton, though, has not gone away just yet. They'll roll around the outside of one of those Valparaiso cars, and this battle for the lead is definitely heating up.
Oh, I bet that made him mad, too. That driver's hot right now. He wants to try and get around Alif as quickly as we can, but this is going to be Flexware College Cup Series racing at its finest. Matthew Morton making contact with Muhammad Alif in the front stretch chicane. Actually, Morton locked up a little bit with the send on the inside of that Ball State car. Picked up a little bit of damage on the the left front of that car. And that right side dinged up just a little bit from where he's been hitting the wall on the front stretch a few times. But that damage really doesn't mean anything at a very horsepower, not aero-dependent race like this.
Yeah, the only time you'll see a lot of aero here at the Roval is going down the backstretch. You might be able to pull a little bit of a draft going into this chicane. Looked like Morton closed up a little bit there. Not a ton, but that gap now below 0.4, about 2 car lengths on track. We've seen Morton get as close as poking his nose out in front of the 12, but Alif has led every lap to this point, and it looks like he will be able to lead this lap as well. Opening 20 will go to Ball State as a big slide for Matt Morton. A little bit of contact with that outside wall. He's going to lose a ton of time to the leader. And you could see on his face, on the driver cam there, he couldn't really realize, couldn't really believe that that's exactly what happened there. It just got a little too wide off the corner. The car was trying to settle down, made a little bit of contact with that outside wall, but now you can see that look of determination trying to track him back down, which will be easier said than done after he did such a good job earlier. But maybe lap traffic will come into effect here as they're stuck behind the back bumper of one of these Clemson machines. That might be, I was going to say maybe Nick Stockner, but it might be one of the Clemson cars.
I believe that is Nick Stockner just in front of the leaders. He's going to do the smart thing, take that high line, yield the racing line to the 2 leaders. As now Matt Morton has gotten right back up to the bumper of a Leaf. He looks to the outside, down the back straightaway, into the heavy braking zone. Is he going to make something work? No, Leaf gets the better run through the chicane. Who's going to get the better exit, though? It is going to be Leaf, as Morton once again caught lacking in one of those heavy braking zones. I think his real weakness right now is those sausage curves, those turtles, those blue curves, as he's going to go ahead and pull the trigger and come down pit road. Matthew Morton coming down for some early service.
Yeah, well, the one thing I noticed, I don't even know if it was necessarily a struggle in the chicane. We saw when he got side by side a couple laps ago, what he did was he got inside of a Leaf going through that backstretch chicane to get to the outside going in the NASCAR Ovals 3 and 4. However, a Leaf closed off that line on him this time around. It made it look like that gap was going to be there, and then at the last second it wasn't, and Morton had to check up just a little bit. So, a little top off there of fuel. Maybe not even any tire changes there for the one. I think he's just getting enough fuel to make it to the end of this race, and he's now going to be out there going to try and track down the leader once again, knowing that a Leaf will have to come down pit road at some point. But a lot of action up front here for a few laps, and then Matt Morton says, all right, that didn't work. Time to play the strategy card and see what happens.
So now the question is, when does a Leaf and the rest of the leaders come down pit road? Morton actually with an advantage there by doing the undercut. He had less fuel to put in the car since that tank was just a little bit more full. But a Leaf is going to have, well, actually, no, he didn't take tires. So there's not going to be much of a tire difference. Although I'm sure a Leaf is probably asking his crew chief and spotter, maybe some other drivers, did he take tires? But tires really not something that you want to worry about on the road course.
Whoa, contact there for the 88.
Right there. There's the
Stagey
88
in the wall.
goes hard into the wall. That's going to concede the position to Jason Wallet, who works himself up into the top 4. And actually still behind Matthew Morton. Matt Morton came down pit road, got his pit stop, or his top off on the fuel tank done, and off of pit road before 4th place caught up. That is insane.
I mean, those top 2 cars have just been running away from the field, and then Halterman was on an island there. You can see the gap. Halterman there, he's got Morton behind him now, but still 15 seconds clear of Wallet and 22 seconds back of a Leaf. So, about 30-some seconds there between 1st and 4th. It's just a whole nother class out there between a Leaf and Morton. We saw that battle going on before the one came down pit road. But yeah, no, just a moment ago, we saw the 88 of Stagey up into the wall. That's going to forfeit that 4th position. But Ball State as a whole tonight having a really, really good race. Muhammad Alif leading this thing. Andrew Stagey scored in 5th. And then another teammate of theirs, Kelton Quick, still holding on to the 9th position there. So 3 Cardinal machines inside the top 10 right now on lap 23.
A few retirements already in this race. Lucas Moody, that car has gone behind the wall, as well as Ethan Decatur for Valpo University, Mark Turek for the Penn College of Technology, and Alan Hong from St. Clair College also out of this race. Sky Shrek has gotten their car back down to pit road for Oklahoma University, and I believe is back out on track lapping, but many, many, many laps down.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's going to be a war of attrition out here for a couple of these drivers, and then for some drivers like Ryan Whitlock and Andrew Stagey right now, it's going to be more of a battle amongst themselves. This is the battle for 5th place here. Whitlock in that University of Alabama Huntsville car, trying to track down one of the Ball State machines, and then eventually that Drexel Esports car just ahead of them. Whitlock running a really solid race so far inside this top 10, looking to break into the top 5. He has the opportunity to do it if he can get a good run on the back bumper of the 88 here as they make their way through 3 and 4. Going to close up a little bit here as the 76 washed out a little bit off of 3 and was able to really cut back in off of 4. He got a good run up in that grouping there. So a lot of accordion, a lot of ebbs and flows here in 4th through 6th.
Yeah, Whitlock having a pretty quiet night. He's crawled his way up inside the top 10. Was actually fighting, I believe, for that 13th position early on in the race, that battle we covered. He was at the tail end of that battle, but he has since worked his way around a ton of cars to break into the top 10, now looking for a shot in the top 5, riding along with Andrew Stagey, focus in his eyes as he's trying to keep that 81 machine behind him to keep his spot inside the top 5 as they go through the chicane. And a couple of different strategies on how to attack those curves. Andrew Stagey really taking those turtles to maximum potential, really using those to rotate the car. Whitlock, not so much. He's more focused on keeping a stable car, and a stable car is a quick car for Whitlock, because he's really making that work. As you can see right there, just barely onto the red and white curbs, not using any of those blue turtles to get the car rotated, but he's still sticking right into the back end of that 88 machine.
Yeah, we had a nice little onboard there with the 88 of Andrew Stagey a moment ago. And the bottom screen here, this is the battle for second on track. The 077 of Clint Halterman has a mirror full of Matt Morton right now. That Ohio State machine has already come down pit road. Didn't change any tires, but just has had so much pace that he's worked his way back up to the back bumper of that machine. They're trying to get around lap traffic here, and Michael Sidor able to clear them into the chicane. Almost a bit of contact between the two. Halterman, though, will retain second place for the moment, but Matt Morton is there, ready to take that position away. And this is the battle for second and third. Fourth and fifth place, which is up on that top screen there, nearly 20 seconds back from this battle.
And Clint Halterman still has yet to come down pit road and make his fuel stop and get his service on that car to make it to the end of the race. So this battle will eventually resolve, as we got some smoke in 1 and 2. I think somebody might have had a time. Was that Burrell just ahead? No, Burrell just went a lap down. So it wasn't him. But Matthew Morton is going to make his way past Clinton Halterman and work himself back up into the second position. The lead of this race still technically yet to be resolved, as both of our leaders are Ahmed Alif and Matt Morton on separate strategies right now. Matthew Morton came down on lap 21 to get his top off. Ar Muhammad Alif still staying out, as Matt Morton is going to pass Nick Stockner once again. Stockner a lap down. It was actually put a lap down during the battle for the lead initially. Was able to get back around Morton when he was on pit road. Stockner getting passed once again, but he is going to do the right thing, yield to the drivers ahead, as Morton continues to chip time away on leader Ar Muhammad Alif.
You know, we're sitting here at lap 27. These cars have been rolling for a good minute now, and they're back up the full speed. In the case of Matt Morton here, after he made a stop down pit road, feels like as good as time as any here to do a little College Cup Series crank it up action to let these big stock cars roll around this track, and we can just listen to how beautiful they sound.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Switch Up 200, where we are switching it up here at the Charlotte Roval, presented by the Familiar Strange, who are celebrating the release of their self-titled debut album, as we have just had a lead change. Muhammad Alif relegated down to second. He came down pit road, got his service, and is 3.5 seconds behind Matt Morton right now. That was a huge advantage to that Ohio State driver, running just a little bit less fuel in his tank over the course of that short little stint.
Yeah, it's given him a huge lead here. The big question is going to be is can Alif track him down? That gap, about 3 seconds right now, will be a lot of work for the 12 to get back up to the 1. But, you know, if there's any car that would have the pace to do so, it is the 12. He's led the opening 20-some laps of this race. This is the first couple laps where he is now the pursuer as opposed to the pursuee. And we're taking a look on board here with Clint Halterman. He's the guy currently running third. You know, he's been kind of locked out on that bottom step of the podium all night. He got up there, and then there was nowhere to go because the leaders had checked out to such a distance ahead of him. So right now, this is the closest he's gotten to trying to run up into that second position here, about a second back from Muhammad Alif right now, nearing 20 laps to go.
Norm the Niner looking off the front of that brand new paint scheme for Clint Halterman and UNC Charlotte. He's got a nice view of the back bumper of that Ball State Cardinals machine up in front of him. Now, Halterman still has yet to come down pit road, so this is technically not an official battle for position, although it is a battle for position on track. Halterman is going to lose about 20 seconds to the leaders ahead of him, and he will hopefully not fall into the clutches of Jason Wallet behind him, running in fourth. A lot of these drivers yet to come down pit road. I think really the only ones in the top 10 who have done so are Morton and Alif, and they are still at the top of the grid. They are just in a completely different league from everybody else tonight.
Yeah, they have run really, really well to this point. As we're taking a look here with Zach DeWale, he is currently 8th, but about to make it 7th if he can get around the Ball State machine here of Kelton Quick. All over the back bumper of the 2-car right now as they make their way on to the banking here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. He's going to maybe take a look to the bottom or maybe just settle in right now. You can see on board the driver cam there with the 519. You can see the focus as he's going to try and stick it in on the inside here going into the entrance to the chicane. A bit of contact between the two.
And now here comes Matt Nordberg.
Yeah, Matt Nordberg going to roll right on by Kelton Quick. Opportunistic as ever. The 076 pounces on it. He'll take 8th away. DeWale up to 7th. Kelton Quick in the matter of one chicane from 7th back to 9th.
Disaster for Ball State right there. A short little lockup, a little tiny mistake in that backstretch chicane, and it cost him 2 positions. You can see, like we talked about at the top of the show, just how costly one mistake can be. It's very, very hard to gain positions here at the Roval, but it's extremely easy to lose them. And both Nordberg and DeWale, very opportunistic there, as you said, to take away that position when the opportunity came.
Yeah, he really swung it in there, and with nothing impeding his progress, it looked like he was going 20 miles an hour faster than those guys. It was just a crazy launch into the chicane, but he made it work. Capitalized on it and took away the position. As it looked like looks like one of the cars in front of them as well has already come down pit road, so that'll move them both up another spot as well, which means DeWale now knocking on the door of the top 5, although he is 24 seconds back of that guy to get up into 5th place. He'd be trying to get up to Andrew Stagey, but right now, a solid race for both DeWale and Matt Nordberg. Both of them started outside the top 10 and currently running 6th and 7th. A solid run for both the 519 and the 076.
19 laps remaining in tonight's Switch Up 200. And just a quick rundown of the top 10. Matthew Morton is the leader for the time being, although that gap is slowly coming down to Muhammad Alif behind. We got a quick little battle going on right here between Drew Williams. We're going to hold off on that top 10 recap as we've got Brandon Schulenberger and Drew Williams. Actually, that battle is going to take a hold as Drew Williams is going to come down pit road. Spoke too soon right there, so we're going to go back through the top 10 Matt Morton in the lead, although that gap is coming down. Muhammad Alif in second. Clint Halterman P3 at his home track at the moment. Jason Wallet fourth. Andrew Stagey fifth. Zach DeWale P6. Matt Nordberg P7. Kelton Quick, Ryan Whitlock, and Edwin Onofre rounding out the top 10. As I think I saw another Clemson car. That might have been Jake Hall down on pit road with Williams. So maybe some team orders right there to pit and get some strength in numbers.
Maybe, this is, not necessarily a drafting track like a Daytona or a Talladega, but, not an impossibility to have a couple of cars come down pit road at the same time, thinking it might benefit each other just as far as getting a little bit of that draft going down the backstretch once you do get off of pit road and through the infield part of this course. On track here, we see Matt Morton just rolled around the 321 of Alex Finnerty. Although you can also see just in the tail end of that shot as they were going through the chicane, Muhammad Alif slowly sneaking back into the picture. He was 3.2 seconds back. Now the gap about 2.6, 2.7. He's closing in just a little bit on that Ohio State Buckeye running in the top position right now. He has 18 laps to try and make up the next 2.5 seconds, but right now, slow but steady progress for the driver of the 12.
Well, he got 3.5, almost 4/10 just that lap. So, boys and girls at home, I think we're about to have us a little battle for the lead late on in this race. There's a little bit of a mistake right there, maybe for Alif, as he loses out on some time. But you can see that time, that gap, just fluctuating back and forth between these two leaders right now. You can definitely see which corners play into the strengths of one and into the weaknesses of the other. Alif so much better through this infield section, but Morton's got the advantage when they get back out onto the NASCAR course.
Yeah, so on the top side of your screen right now, on board with Ricky Paz running some laps here, currently in 20th. Meanwhile, coming down pit road, it's the 88 of Andrew Stagey, one of the last cars in the top 5 who had not come down pit road yet. So a late taker here on pit road with 17 laps to go, but he's going to get this thing fueled up to get enough gas to the end. And he's going to now be down and away after topping off on fuel with 17 laps to go. When he cycles out, he'll be at the tail end of the top 10. Currently scored 10th, just in front of Hunter Hidesti. So he'll have some ground to try and make up here. Those who came down pit road earlier, since no one changed tires, that may have been the move on pit road, trying to cut it as evenly as possible in these stages. As the 076 big lock up there, Kelton Quick and Ryan Whitlock will roll around the outside there. That was for 7th, 8th, and 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Yeah, disaster strikes there for Matt Nordberg as he's going to lose out on a couple of positions. We talked about, once again, we talked about how one little mistake can cost you so much. But you mentioned that these drivers, or that the earlier pit stop, the undercut, seems to be playing into the favor of a lot of our drivers tonight. I think a lot of drivers are going to notice that, and they're going to take that into Montreal in 2 weeks. Yes, you heard it right, folks. The Flexware College Cup Series is going to be going to the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in 2 weeks. This is not even a track that the IRL Cup Series has visited before. So we're going to take a risk and we're going to try something. We're going to go up to Montreal, the first international race in the Flexware College Cup Series. 2 road races in one season also hasn't been done before. And I think all these drivers are going to be excited for that with all they've learned tonight.
Yeah, certainly a lot of things to learn here. Is Clint Halterman now bringing it down pit road. The 077 bringing it down from 3rd place on the pit road here. He will have to fall maybe a position or two. He'll likely lose out to Jason Wallet. Not sure if he'll also lose out to Zach DeWale. But with how strung out this field is, especially in the top 5, top 10, it might not really hurt the 077 at this point in time with where he's positioned on track. He's definitely going to lose out to the 76, but also looks like they're putting fresh tires on the 077, so a bit of a longer stop here compared to his peers, but fresh tires for the UNC Charlotte machine to get to the end of this race.
And Wallet has indeed gotten around in trouble as he gets off of pit road. That car loops on Halterman, and he does almost a perfect 360 to get that thing back around, but those tires are definitely broken into now. Wallet has gotten around, and he is now at risk of losing position to Zach DeWale. Actually, Zach DeWale coming down pit road as well. So Halterman definitely got bailed out right there.
Yeah, big break there for the 077, who did a nice little burnout there, leaving pit road, saying hi to the fans about 15 laps too early, maybe. But now Nordberg quick down pit road. Nordberg actually overshot his box. That's going to cost him some time in that battle with the two. DeWale has just peeled off of pit road. Now here comes Kelton Quick peeling off of it as well. Nordberg didn't lose out a ton of time distance-wise to the two, but he could have probably gained a lot of it had he not overshot his box.
Oh, in trouble for Halterman again. He has lit up those rear tires. They're overheated, and he is really struggling with that car now, getting those front tires up to temperature.
Halterman still currently in the top 5, but boy, he is having a whale of a time right now trying to get that car under control. We'll see how it goes here through this chicane. That backstretch chicane proved to be a problem. The front stretch one, nice and easy there for the 077. Halterman going to hold on to it here as Wallet has brought it down pit road. So back up into the top 3 here is Halterman. But look at that gap. He is running third place, 57 seconds behind the leader right now. Actually, no, but it's the interval. He's 57 seconds behind Alif, who's a minute. That's a minute back to Morton. So our Muhammad Alif is closing in on the lead, and he is at this point the only car capable of chasing down Matt Morton because it's nearly a minute back to the next car on track for position. So it's going to be a 2-car tango at the finish here if the 12 can get up to the back bumper of Morton. Over the past 5 laps, he's chopped off half a second. If he keeps up that rate, it'll be about a half a second gap with a few laps to go.
Yeah, time is running out in tonight's race, and Muhammad Alif is making every second count. That lead has come down by about another second in the past 3 or 4 laps or so. But those two drivers just on another level tonight, with Halterman coming out of the front or out of the backstretch chicane. That's actually probably going to put the leaders coming through turns 1 and 2, NASCAR turns 1 and 2 at the moment. That gap is so big at the moment. Yeah, Halterman having himself a good race tonight, despite being that far off the lead. He's currently in position to, for the second time this season, finish third with the alumni win at Charlotte. If he had a nickel for every time he did that, he's looking at having a second nickel tonight. But we're going to take a look at this battle right now. Edwin Onofre looking at the back bumper of Ryan Whitlock, the battle to get inside the top 5 in tonight's event. Edwin Onofre hungry for that top 5. He wants that position. Whitlock trying to defend for his life right now. 12 laps to go.
Yeah, Whitlock holding on to a top 5. Edwin Onofre currently scored 6. Both of these cars having a really strong run here tonight, looking to get that extra position. And then just behind them, the 88 of Andrew Stagey came off of pit road from his stop in 10th. He is cycled back up into 7th here, but he did enter the pits in 5th. So if the 88 wants to get back to where he started, he's going to have to get around both of these guys you see on your screen here. Edwin Onofre, though, just going to keep doing business as usual, although it looks like the front end of that 199 might be poked in just a little bit. I wonder if he made contact with the back bumper of somebody at some point. Obviously not sure exactly when that happened. That's not going to be a thing that's easily found, because that could have been there for who knows how many laps at this point, but wondering if that's affecting his car at all as he's trying to track down Ryan Whitlock here.
Yeah, now that you mention it, the front of that car does look a little bit caved in, but as we said, aero doesn't really matter at these road courses, especially on shorter ones like the Roval, where you don't have long straightaways between the turns. But that gap has come down just a little bit loose there for Onofre as he tried to send it up the inside of Whitlock. Really aggressive move through turn 3 that I don't think would have worked. A couple of different lines for those two drivers, but they're going to come out onto the backstretch of the infield. Onofre still about 0.4, half a second behind. That gap hasn't changed much. But these two drivers duking it out for every 10th they can find. These last few laps are going to demand perfection from these two as they chase every point they can. And in the playoff side, this is a battle for position and for points. But when it comes to the class championships, these drivers are running their own race. Edwin Onofre currently second in the alumni championship, or in the alumni standings, losing out on the win to Clint Halterman, currently scored third overall. And Ryan Whitlock scored as the fourth student in his class, behind Wallet, Alif, and Morton ahead.
Yeah, and looking at this battle here, we've got Charles Wimbley just ahead of Kelton Quick and Brandon Schulenberger. Looks like the 37 starting to get a little bit of separation from the 2, but not nearly enough here as they make their way down the backstretch into that chicane. Here comes Schulenberger, going to break it a little bit farther, close that much closer up to the back bumper of the 2. Can he maintain that gap on corner exit, though? Maybe not the B this time by, but the 7 is there, as is the 2. Kelton Quick's had a pretty solid night tonight, running in the back half of the top 10 basically all evening, currently scored in that 10th position. He certainly would like to hold on to it in that top 10 and not let Schulenberger take that position away. That car just in front of him, though, that 37 of Charles Wimbley, you know, he started up in that second row, fell back a little bit early on. He's trying to rebound from that rough start, but right now still holding on to a solid top 10 finish as they run here with 10 laps to go here in this race from the Roval. And also, I'm looking up at this timing table. For a brief moment there, Alif was under a second back of Matt Morton. That gap right now, 1.1. He continues to close in on the leader just a little bit.
Alif is hoofing it right now, and that gap is coming down. And there it is, right at a second. He is under a second.
Yeah, oh, man, nearly making half a second now.
Wow. Alif got a really solid run out of turn. Or I guess that would be the backstretch. Oh, well, I don't know. I don't even know where the leaders would be right now. They're so far in front of the field. There you go. There's the battle for the lead. They're just on 9 laps to go, coming through the infield sector one more time. And there you see the gap in real time, less than 10 car lengths separating these two drivers. Alif is using the loud pedal as much as he possibly can right now to try and chop that gap down. He's got the fresher car off of pit road by a considerable margin, but these two drivers pretty much have the same exact tires that they started on this, that they started the race with. So this is going to be a test of driver skill as they come through NASCAR turns 1 and 2 out onto the back stretch. The gap is right there at a second. Lap traffic of Andrew Burrell between these two drivers. Is he going to play in any effect? Looks like maybe a little bit of a holdup right there for Alif, but Burrell going to get out of the way and let Alif by. Actually, Alif still got a really solid run out of the backstretch chicane. That gap's still holding right at a second as they come out onto the front stretch. 2 lap cars right now battling for position.
That's
right
the battle for 5th and 6th.
That is the battle for 5th and 6th that we were following. Onofre is going to let Morton by. We'll see if we can do the same for Alif. What is Ryan Whitlock going to do? Is he going to hold up the number 1 car, or is he going to battle to try and stay on the lead lap? Onofre is going to let Alif by, and it looks like Ryan Whitlock is going to try and battle with Morton, but concede the position as Morton is just that much quicker. Here comes Alif. Whitlock is going to let him by as well, as that battle for 5th is going to continue to rage on, albeit 1 lap down now.
Which is incredible to think about. That is the battle for the top 5 right now, and they are scored 1 lap down. The top 2 cars right now, just a different galaxy than the rest of the field here today. I mean, they're within a few seconds here. They're within 5 seconds of putting the 4th place car a lap down. This is a race like you'd see straight out of the 70s with just a couple of cars dialed in compared to the rest of the field. Ricky Paz, man, he was right in front of Alif. He is not going to let the 12 get a good exit coming out of that chicane. That is definitely going to hold him up just a little bit, having to go around the outside of the 19. He had closed in to within 0.6 of Morton's bumper. Now that gap opened up just a little bit. That being said, no more lap cars for the foreseeable future here. 7 laps to go from the Roval, and the gap is only half a second between Morton and Alif.
7 laps remaining in this 50-lap, 200 kilometers switch up 200 presented by the familiar Strange. And this battle is going to heat up as Morton got a really good sector 1 right there. Got a couple, maybe 3/10 on Alif. trying to put that number 12 Ball State car in the rear view. But Alif, the road course ringer in our Formula C side, dominating that series at the moment. What can he do? He's got the success of Formula C to ride on. He's also got his loss and runner-up finish from Watkins Glen last year to Matt Morton to think about. Can he avenge his loss from last season? What is he going to do, and can he make it happen in these last 6.5 laps in this road course? They're both hard into the braking zone on the backstretch. Who's going to get the better gap? Who's going to get the better advantage coming out of the chicane? That gap came down to 0.5 in the braking zone, but back up to 0.6 and change, as both of these drivers relatively equal on exit.
Yeah, I wonder if this is going. If there's any thought for these two drivers about their battle from Watkins Glen a season ago. The podium from that race, currently the podium in this one as well. Morton Alif with Halterman running third. Alif was probably the faster car, but had to do the fuel strategy with the way it shook out, and Morton was able to take it. This time around, though, it might be Morton who's the slightly faster car, but Alif has the fuel strategy working on his side. This gap right now, 0.5 second, 6 laps to go here, and now a lot more lap traffic, including our 4th place car in Jason Wallet, who's just up ahead of this mix. Contact between the leader and the long. The 22 goes sideways. The 12 makes contact with him. Both the leader and second place contact with the 22 as they tried getting around them, going on to NASCAR Oval Turn 1.
And now if you're Alif, you're wondering, what does that right front look like? Does it have suspension damage? What does the front of the car look like as that gap opened up to about 1 second? And Alif completely jumping the chicane. I think all 4 wheels got off the ground for that Ball State car as he is sending it, trying to get up to that number 1.
Yeah, if he wasn't already in attack mode before, you know he is now, after there was contact between the 1 and the 22 that basically sent DeLong nearly sideways in front of Alif as they tried making their way out of the infield portion of this course. That being said, even though that gap fell back to almost 1 second, already closing back into 0.5 second here with 5 laps to go, that Ball State machine is hungry, and it is staring at the back bumper of Matt Morton right now. And I got to imagine he's going to close this gap up even more. Morton on the back bumper of Wallet right now, who's running 4th. I can't imagine, though, the 76 is going to be too keen to go a lap down.
Alif's idol, Lewis Hamilton, famous for his line, and I think that might be what Alif is telling himself right now. It is absolutely hammer time. 5 laps to go in this event. Jason Wallet going 1 lap down now. Only the podium drivers on the lead lap at the moment, and Alif is that gap has come back down to 0.5 and change, and a huge moment there for Alif as he gets hard onto the brakes. That was a beautiful entrance into the backstretch bus stop as that gap came down 0.2 and change just in that sequence of corners. We got a battle for the lead, folks. Here we go. Stand up, cheer on your favorite driver. Alif dips the left sides into the grass, but keeps it straight. All 4 tires again over the curbs, off the ground. He is somehow drifting that car in the middle of the air to try to get to the back bumper of Matthew Morton, and he is there, 1/4 second. Alif is knocking on the door of the lead of this race. The memories from Watkins Glen last year.
Oh, he's
Morton
going
goes wide. Alif sends it in. They're going to be side by side coming out of turn 3. Morton's got the advantage. Alif's now showing aggression. He wants the lead of this race. Morton locks it up, and Morton turns Alif into the wall. Muhammad Alif contact between the 2 leaders. Unbelievable.
Oh, man, if I'm the 12, I am furious right now. Oh, he set him up so good, too, coming off of turn 5. He backed up that corner just a little bit as the 1 slid in. The 12 got back to the inside of him on corner exit, and as they were racing off the corner, their contact between the 1 and the 12 sent the 12 spinning. This gap now 6 seconds between Morton and Alif. Oh, boy, and we do know that, this is a race with live stewards. This
Race
could be an
control.
event that the live stewards are going to have to take a look at that before the end of this one. That could be a race-defining moment here.
Race control has given Matt Morton a black flag. Disaster. Matt Morton will have to come down pit road by the end of this race, and that will more than likely give the lead to our Muhammad Alif. Oh my goodness.
What
Wow.
a turn of events. I mean, you could see, if we could take a look at the replay of that moment, our production stuff, that would be incredible. They're getting it queued up right now. I just can't believe how beautifully Alif set up that pass through that infield section there. He waited on Morton to make the move, got back around him, and then just contact between the two. And for the fact that the race stewards looked at the leaders here with less than 5 laps to go and have shown the black flag has to serve a drive-through penalty before the end of this race. Unbelievable stuff.
Yep. Looking at it right here, lap 47, car 1, drive-through plus strike for avoidable contact in the infield. Wow, what a massive call from race control, basically determining the win of this race. We're going to take a look at this again. Matt Morton,
oh, man,
a little bit of a lockup there coming out of turn 5. Alif right there to his inside. Let's see if we can take a look at that again. But that is it. That was the race-defining moment between our two leaders.
And, Morton now down on pit road, serving that drive-through penalty. He will cycle out over 7 seconds back here with 2 laps to go. So this is more or less going to be the 12 cars race to win here. And I, for one, am not a huge fan of race control having to decide like the outcome of a race. I'm much in the fan of just letting the drivers go out there and get it done on track. But I have to say that was probably the right call there. I mean, more or less, that looked like he just straight up dumped the guy who was going to try and pass him for the lead there. That was a tough break, and I don't think it was intentional, but it just was a tough break there for the one. And, there's not much you can do with it, but also you can't do that. So I think race control has made the right call here, and now coming to the white flag after this corner and then the front stretch chicane, Muhammad Alif, only 2.28 miles, a handful of kilometers from winning this race and locking himself into the Flexware College Cup Series playoffs.
White flag is out for Muhammad Alif and Ball State University. He came so close to winning the Watkins Glen race last year. He was on a hell march up to the front from second place, lost the race due to pit strategy on pit road. He took tires when Morton did it, and it's lessons learned for Muhammad Alif, and he is going to walk away with the win here, albeit not without controversy. Morton and Alif, a battle for the ages, a CIL classic, I would dare say, between these two drivers, dusting pretty much the entire field. Only the podium is going to finish on the lead lap. The two drivers fighting it out tooth and nail, taking it down to the very last few laps of the race when some unfortunate contact and a call from race control ultimately decided the race. But it is going to go the way of Muhammad Alif for the final time, navigating some lap traffic. Might take it easy, knowing that he's got 6.5 seconds behind to Matt Morton, who has served his penalty on pit road. But Muhammad Alif, for the first time in many, many, many weeks and races, he is going to be a College Cup Series winner. Muhammad Alif wins the Switch Up 200 at the Roval.
And you could tell, a lot of reflective bits on that 12, and you can see the dents, you can see the scrapes, you can see the paint and the rubber that have all glued to the side of that car. He had to earn it here tonight. He tracked down an over 3-second gap after he came down pit road to get up to Morton. Then the battle with the one, and ultimately he will come home victorious. Matt Morton will bring it home second, despite leading most of the back half of that race. Race control deemed that incident to be avoidable and therefore issued a drive-through penalty, relegating him back to second. And then Clint Halterman will bring it home in third place this evening, although it will take a minute for him to get back around to actually claim the checkered flag and finish in that third spot. He was nearly a minute back of our leader here tonight. Just a crazy race up front. For how spread out this field got, we got a crazy race between the two leaders at the end.
Yeah, definitely write this one down in the books as an instant classic, especially about the last 15 laps of this race. Alif, when he came out of pit road, was 3.5 seconds behind then race leader Matt Morton. He chopped that lead all the way down. The two had a great battle for about a half a lap. As you see, Matt Morton congratulating Muhammad Alif, maybe also an apology for that incident with 3 laps remaining in the race. But Alif is going to bring that beautiful, shiny Ball State car down. And it's now 2 wins in a row for that Ball State program, as he's going to do some donuts in the grass as Muhammad Alif wins the Switch Up 200.
Trying to burn it down there. Not seeing a whole lot of smoke coming out of it. It's just a lot of spinning through the grass, having a good time, I guess. But we will see him in the booth here shortly, along with our podium finishers. But there it is. There's the smoke now that he's hit the pavement. Now he's going to burn it down. There's still cars trying to finish this race. That's how far ahead of the field he was. That was Nordberg and Stockler rolling in at full speed. And someone, I think, binned it there going into turn 1. There was someone who absolutely was upside down. We saw the wheels on the bottom of the screen. But, when you're driving virtual cars, you can afford to put it upside down every once in a while. But what a night we've had here from the Charlotte Roval. I mean, a bit of a strategy race up front. This field got really spread out, but in the end, our leaders found each other late, and boy, it was gloves off between the two. That was just heavyweight fights between Matt Morton and Muhammad Alif.
We talk about it really being that strategy race. I don't know if there really was a strategy that came out on top tonight. Morton came down earlier. He had the undercut done, but Alif, man, put on an incredible drive. Those two drivers were just in a completely different league from the rest of the field. So, and then everybody else coming down virtually at about the same time. So I think it's going to make Montreal a really interesting race for our Canadian GP here in the Cup Series in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's. I'm intrigued to see how that one goes. If the Roval was any indication, it's going to be a blast. I'm seeing on the screen here a couple of the Penn College guys blowing each other up there on the front stretch. So everyone having a good time here tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Whether you won the race or you just brought it home in one piece, reasons to celebrate here at the Roval for a lot of these guys who may not consider themselves the road course ringers.
As we're going to wait for our drivers to get in the booth. We're going to try to interview Alif first, and actually there he is.
He just popped in, yeah.
Out of the car, Muhammad Alif, tonight's winner. Congratulations on a hard-fought victory here at the Roval. I want to ask you the boogeyman question, the elephant in the room, the incident with you and Morton with 3 laps to go. Take us through your perspective on what happened there.
So I saw, it was a good race. I think I wasn't driving as well as I should have. I think used up a bit of too much of or overheated my tires. So it's on me. But yeah, it was a very tight race, very close race with Matthew. And I knew that the race was going to come to the end because he's great at saving tires. So yeah, I saw a gap on the inside, put my nose there, and then had a bit of contact, and then got my nose ahead. I don't know, I haven't seen the replay, so I don't know exactly what happened, but I guess Matthew was at fault because he got the drive through, and that's that. But yeah, good win, back to back All State pole position, back to back All State win. So yeah, very happy with that.
Yeah, obviously an incredible run from start to finish there, and you bring it home with the victory. Before the drive-through penalty that got issued to the 1, what was going through your head as you were staring back the wrong way here at the Roval trying to get the car going again? Were there any sort of, I'm sure there were some frustrations, but was there any thought of like, oh, well, there goes the race, it's over? Or were you expecting there to be some sort of action taken by the stewards? What was the thought process there as that happened?
Honestly, I saw the gap was like 6.4, so maybe I was like, okay, maybe he's gonna get a 5 second penalty. So I was like, let's at least push for the 5 second gap. And then when I saw the steward's decision, I was like, it's great. So took the lead. Yeah, what a race. I hope it was exciting for you guys to watch. Yeah, that was a lot of stuff happened. I need to go and just process that, but having a back marker get spun into me, that was interesting. I don't think that was intentional or not. I don't, and then that incident. Yeah. What do you guys think? What was the thing the students room? Sorry, at the commentator booth. My question for you guys.
Well, we were up here losing our minds. It was we were like, man, this has been Alif has been chasing more down. This is gonna be a great battle, and then ding ding ding, chaos ensues. And I know I jumped out of my seat around. That was really exciting. But shifting focus from this race a little further on in the season, you are now officially locked into the College Cup Series playoffs. Came ever so short of it last season with that win or that runner-up finish from Watkins Glen, maybe burning in the back of your mind. Did that have anything to do with
Kind of, but honestly, it's a learning process for me. I think with these cars, obviously, I'm doing more officials, trying to get more experience in these cars. Obviously, Matthew has a ton of experience, so just learning. And the clash, I think, helped a lot for me because I was outpaced in terms of just tire wear. So I just went back and I think all the analysis and all the preparation really went into this because I changed a lot of stuff just to make sure that I didn't burn up my tires as I did in was it Daytona, which was the clash. So a lot of learnings from there, a lot of learnings from all the oval tracks. Honestly, that's my aim right now. Is just to be strong in both and try to set up a good playoff run.
Well, congratulations on your win tonight. Well fought, or hard fought, well deserved. And I think you know the drill. While we've got you here, anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, my whole team, Andrew, Ben, and they're at the back there. Lucas, Kelton, the road drivers as well, who we're gonna push for the road championship as well. So yeah, big shout out to them. Dan Marino as well, BK, who's our directors and assistant directors, Dean Turner. Lucas says that he doesn't deserve the shout out, but yeah, he did a good job. I think just all with the prep and everything. So yeah, but yeah, just super stoked with the win finally on a road course. It was a long time coming, but yeah, I mean, when I saw the gap, it was like when I pitted, it came out, I was like 3.5. I was like, okay, no way we're gonna be able to catch it. I was like, okay, I was just pushing every lap and just so thankful that it came out in the end.
The road course ringer gets it done finally. Congratulations, Alif, and we'll see you back up here in the booth later on.
Thank you.
That was tonight's winner of the Switch Up 200, Muhammad Alif from Ball State University. And now let's get to the second half of the interview that I think everybody's waiting for. Tonight's runner-up, Matthew Morton from Ohio State University. Congratulations on another great race. Same question as Alif, the elephant in the room. Take us through your perspective on that tangle between you two in the last few laps of the race.
Yeah, I was just trying to defend as much as I could. He was so fast there in that final run, and he just sent it up the inside. So I knew I had to play a little bit of games coming into the rest of the infield. And I tried to slide in behind him and try to do a crossover move for the next few corners and just misjudged it and got his left rear, unfortunately.
Ultimately, obviously, it did end up costing you the position, but it didn't cost you the podium. You were able to bring it home in second place. The other incident that I wanted to talk to you about that I found interesting here was a few laps before that, both you and Alif tangled, I think it was with one of the Penn College cars there coming out of the infield section. Was that a situation of just different cars, different speeds, trying to run the same line, or what? Because you both you and Alif found a way to make contact with the 22 there at about the same point in time.
Yeah, the that there was specific cars tonight that just made it so difficult on the leaders, and it was so frustrating because they either had to pick and choose, just let us by or just don't overshoot the corner and just cost us both time. I had a little bit of more incidents with the 22, and at some point I just got to you just got to do something about it. And it was towards the end of the race, and a leaf was catching me very quickly. So I was like, you're either just going to give me space or you're just going to wreck yourself. And we all know what happened. So I just had to get through lap traffic as quick as I could. A leaf was just catching me so quick. I had to do something about getting by the lap cars.
Well, lessons learned from tonight, maybe that you can apply to Montreal in a couple of weeks. I know a lot of drivers looking forward to that race on the calendar. You had the win from the Clash at the beginning of the season. You got the runner-up finish tonight. What sort of momentum are you carrying into the rest of the season and to that month?
I'd like to say it's good momentum. Had pace almost every week so far this season. Road course speed looks really good. Fighting with a leaf here tonight was a big confidence boost, in my opinion. Charlotte Roval is one of my worst road courses, but I don't know how Montreal is going to play out, so it's going to be interesting to see how we can carry the speed we've had through Daytona and Charlotte and go to the country up north, I guess I could call it.
The land of Tim Hortons and Maple Syrup, indeed. I know we're all looking forward to seeing that up there. But you know the drill. Congratulations again. Anybody you'd like to thank or shout out while we've got you here in the booth?
Yeah, shout out Ohio State. Shout out my parents and grandparents probably watching. Short race tonight, so hopefully they stuck around and didn't fall asleep. Like shout out a leaf there for the speed tonight. It was awesome to battle him, and I want to apologize again for getting into him there. Sucks that's how we had to finish out our battle all night. And yeah, that's about it.
Well, congratulations again, Matt, and hopefully we'll see you back here in the booth soon.
Thank you guys. Go Bucks.
I believe that's the second time this season that we've had some big, toward the end of the race, incidents and no bad blood between the drivers. So that just goes to show you the quality of sportsmanship and racecraft and the camaraderie that goes on between our drivers here in the Flexware College Cup Series. But that is going to bring up our third place finisher tonight and the overall win. Once again, for the second time this season at his home track, Clint Halterman takes the alumni win and will finish on the podium. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's good to 2 podiums, 2 alumni wins at the home track. It feels good.
So I already talked to Matt about this, but we do have the Montreal race coming up in a couple weeks where the NASCAR Cup Series has never been to. It's probably not even a combination on iRacing that many would even consider to be quote unquote legal. Do you think you learned anything tonight that you can apply to tackling that course later on in the season?
Yeah, I learned, I kind of already knew this, but I definitely learned my lesson tonight. Never ever take tires, on the road course in these cars, because it is awful. I wasn't planning on taking tires, but I had a decent gap behind me to take tires, and that resulted, came out of the pits to make that left turn to get back on track, immediately spun out, and then I spun out coming out of the chicane, the backstraight chicane. So definitely learning tires are bad. Even when they feel bad, you can still go pretty quick in them. But it's more about tire temperature with these cars than anything. It's really not even wear. But yeah, well, I mean, and that's definitely one takeaway. I know I need to somehow find a little bit more pace, because goddamn can't catch a leaf and more just in their field of their own. Like, it's telling them just to slow the hell down, because I'm like, look at my relative. I'm like pulling away like a couple tenths to a second a lap to the car behind me, but then I'm losing about the same gap to the cars to them in front of me. So just try to find a little bit more pace, and probably just take try to save the tires a little bit more. Maybe not just push as much. Try to so in that way to kind of cool them down a little bit. But it's just all experience with this car on a road course is good experience. Because not doing it for a little bit definitely feels a little different. So just getting more experience with this car on a road course is always good.
Yeah, we unfortunately didn't get to see you burn it down potentially with the race win for the alumni class, but we do get to see a little bit of a burnout coming out of pit road, so we'll just chalk it up as the preemptive alumni win.
Yeah.
It
That's
was
what I was
definitely
planning.
calculated, definitely intentional. But the one thing I do want to ask you, not so much a question, but more just your thoughts on it. You mentioned that you need to find that little extra bit of pace. You had as much pace as anybody tonight relative to the field. You were one of the only cars to finish on the lead lap. How much more pace can you find, you think, between now and Montreal to see if you can get up and battle those two for the win?
I don't know. I say that, but it's obviously a lot easier said than done. I mean, I think back to the Clash, and I was right up there. I mean, I beat Alif at the Clash. Obviously that was a shorter race, but I was right up there battling Morton and Alif, that race. So, just have to see. Probably do a little bit more practice. I think maybe with it being such a weird combination, that maybe helps me a little bit more, since obviously it's not a weird combination, so people don't have as much experience with that. So that might help me a little bit more, but it's obviously it's gonna be really tough to beat Alif and Morton. They are class of the field in these road courses. I guess just gonna have to put in a little bit more practice. I did the ARCA cars were there in the official race at Montreal a couple weeks ago, and I did a number of those races, so kind of have an idea of what my breaking point should be and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just I don't know. I don't really know what to do to beat them. Hope that they have an incident kind of like they did tonight, and that I'm just closer, and maybe I can capitalize on that. So just be faster is the answer, I guess, somehow.
You know, whenever the answer always just boils down to the equation of get good, you know,
Yeah.
it's going to be, to your point, easier said than done.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Clint, as we look further on down the road towards the playoffs, that win to lock yourself in still eludes you, but you've got yourself pretty much in a really good spot on points. Do you think you're going to have a nice shot at a win at any of our tracks that we're going to in the future, especially with Daytona coming up next week?
Daytona, I'm dreading a lot. I don't think I've had a clean CIL Daytona or Talladega race, so I'm definitely scared of Daytona. But Montreal's right after that. I'm definitely this race and then Montreal. I know these are my opportunities where I know I can get a good result, and maybe even a win, if I if it's in the cards. So I know these road courses specifically. This is where I need to capitalize and got a good result tonight, and I need to get a good result at Montreal, especially with Daytona smack dab in the middle of that wild card there. Kind of already dreading that. So I think I could get two good results there, and then just kind of hopefully carry whatever points I can get from those races, and just kind of survive the rest of it. I have to look at the schedule. I know. Looking at it before, I wasn't the most confident in the tracks coming up. Let's see. We have Vegas and Phoenix and Bristol. So, I like Phoenix. That's a good track for me. Bristol I hate. So, looking at Montreal and Phoenix to really hopefully build up that points gap or maybe get a win for the playoffs.
Well, congratulations again on another podium here at your home track. 2 for 2 at both races at Charlotte this season. That's got to feel good. But you know the drill. While we've got you up here in the booth, anybody you'd like to thank or shout out before we send you out?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank my friends and family. I'd like to shout out Alex Finnerty, making, I think, his third start of the season. Brought home a nice top 15, and actually, I think he actually got two top 20s at his home track of Charlotte as well. So nice to see him. He's just starting out on iRacing, and he's definitely improving rapidly. And thanks to y'all once again for putting on this race, and looking forward to the next one.
Well, congratulations again, Clint, and hopefully we'll see you back up here in the booth soon.
All right. Thank you, guys.
That was tonight's third place finisher and alumni winner, class winner, Clint Halterman from UNC Charlotte. And that's it. First road course race of the season done in the books. And oh my gosh, what a race it was. Welcome back, Alex.
Yeah. Yeah, it was what a fun event to come back to. You know, I got to do the season opener at Auto Club, had to step away for a couple of weeks, but we're back here for the Roval, and it was quite the adventure here tonight. Very memorable finish, to say the least. I'm sure that people will be talking about this one for at least another several weeks here as we make their way toward the playoffs. A big what if in the grand scheme of things once it starts coming down the points for a few of these drivers. But speaking of our drivers here tonight, seems like as good a time as any to take a look at our final standings from tonight's Switch Up 200 from the Roval.
Let's do it. Your winner tonight, Muhammad Alif from Ball State University. Runner-up goes to Matthew Morton from Ohio State, and Clint Halterman rounded out the podium, finishing third for UNC Charlotte. Jason Wallet, the last car on the lead lap in fourth place.
That's just incredible.
What a statistic, ladies and gentlemen. Write that one down for your CIL trivia books. He'll finish fourth for Drexel University. Alabama Huntsville's Ryan Whitlock finishes P5. P6 goes to Edwin Onofre in the Mean Green UNT machine. Andrew Stagey for Ball State University will finish 7th. 8th place goes to Zach DeWale in St. Clair College. What a great recovery drive for him after spinning on the first lap of the race. Charles Wembley from Guilford College will finish 9th, and rounding out the top 10, Kelton Quick from Ball State.
Yeah, starting here in 11th, it's Brandon Schulenberger for Wingate, just ahead of Matt Nordberg there in the 076 for NC State. Hunter Hedesti for Clemson will bring it home 13th, ahead of his teammate Andrew Williams in 14th. Alex Finnerty brings it home 15th there for UNC Charlotte, the first car 2 laps down. Austin DeLong in the 22 brings it home 16th tonight for the Penn College of Technology. 17th is Andrew Burrell from Clemson, just ahead of teammate Nick Stockner there in 18th. Timothy Wilms for Drexel will finish 19th tonight, and Michael Seidor will bring it home 20th for PCT.
Looking at the rest of the field, P21 goes to Logan Smith from Auburn University. Jake Cummings got engaged this week. Congratulations to him. He will finish P22 for Wingate. Ball State's Ben Neller finishes P23. P24 goes to Ricky Paz from Valpo University. Clemson's Jay Call will finish P25. P26 goes to Sky Schreck from Oklahoma University. Lucas Moody for Ball State finishes P27. 28th will go to Ethan Decatur and Valpo University. Mark Turek retired in P29 for PCT. 30th goes to Alan Hong from St. Clair College. And 31st will go to Dylan Godinez from the Penn College of Technology. And that is our final standings from tonight's race. The Switch Up 200 kilometers presented by the Familiar Strange. The checkered flag has flown, and Muhammad Alif, the road course ringer, and Ball State finally got it done. They have secured their NASCAR, or their Flexware College Cup Series road course win here in the NASCAR Cup Cars, and locked themselves into the playoffs now in 5 weeks' time. We are officially halfway through the regular season here in Season 10 of the Flexware College Cup Series. And as we look forward to the playoffs, there's still more than plenty of racing left and lots of playoff spots on the line. The next opportunity comes next Monday night as the Flexware College Cup Series takes to the high banks of Daytona in the most prestigious race in the entire collegiate iRacing league, the Daytona Floatic.net 200. With defending winner Tim Moore taking a semester break, the Daytona crown will change hands this season. Will it go back to Jason Wallet, our inaugural Daytona 250 champ, or will we see another driver triumph in the biggest race in the entire league and lock themselves into the playoffs with that super speedway win? And if you can't wait for more CIL action, Formula C will head to the legendary Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit for the first time. So be sure to grab your beers, brats, and lederhosen for the dead language German Grand Prix. It's lights out here on CIL Vision live at 45 Eastern this Wednesday night. And then on Thursday, our Collegiate Prototype Challenge heads to Detroit for our Grand Prix of Detroit. The legendary Belle Isle circuit graces the CIL for the first time as Kent State's Jordan Johnson looks to extend his perfect season. He's 4 for 4 in races so far, as well as his lead at the top of the table. So be sure to tune into that action this Thursday night at 8:45 Eastern, right here on CIL Vid. And I believe that is going to do it for us tonight. So on behalf of myself, co-commentator Alex, producers Christian, John, and Keith, and from all of us here at the CIL, we'd like to thank you for tuning in to tonight's Switch Up 200 Kilometers. And until next time, stay fast.
I don't care how. Just switch me up. 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 Coughing up my thoughts into an icicle. I look inside and see that I'm just cold. Well, I could ride all day on my bicycle, pretending I was in control. So many different parts to play. It changes over time.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.